Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki. Here are the headlines you're tracking this evening. The Indian rupee sinks to a new low. $1 is now worth nearly 89 rupees. Stock markets end with marginal cuts thanks to a recovery in bank stocks. Gold prices hit fresh record highs and silver prices hover around 14-year highs. Investors keep an eye on Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech later tonight for potential signals on the interest rate trajectory. One of the world's most powerful bankers, JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, says the US economy is weakening, but it's not a disaster just yet. Expects investors to continue reducing their dollar holdings. Says he is wary of inflation and the US has not attacked the fiscal deficit problem yet. That's an exclusive. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar meets top American diplomat Marco Rubio in New York. Says they discussed issues of current concern. This was the first high-level meeting since US imposed 50% tariffs on India and the recent hike in H-1B visa fee. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is also in Washington to hold trade talks. Top tech companies in the US push back against Trump administration hiking the fees for H-1B visas widely used by Indian citizens. The industry body representing Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta and others call on the White House to work with the industry so they can attract the best global talent. Jaguar and Land Rover extends the factory shutdown after a suspected cyber attack. Production will remain on pause till the 1st of October. Company promises to provide more clarity as the investigation continues. Maruti sold 30,000 vehicles on the first day of Navratri as GST cuts take effect. Hyundai also records the highest daily billing in 5 years. Small car sales see a surge. Global semiconductor giant Nvidia pledges to invest up to $100 billion in ChatGPT maker OpenAI. The plan includes building large data centers and creating power capacity of about 10 gigawatts. At least 7 people are dead after heavy rains batter Kolkata. State government declares Durga Puja holidays 2 days ahead of schedule. Waterlogging in several roads disrupts traffic. Train services also affected. Karnataka High Court imposes a stay order on the state government's decision to limit the price of movie tickets to 200 rupees. The interim relief was granted after Multiplex Association moved the court, calling the government's decision arbitrary. All right, let's start with the day's market action. The market closed in the red but sharply off lows after banks staged a major recovery. Mid-caps underperformed, keeping the market breath in favor of declines. IT stocks continue to remain under pressure while metals witnessed a sharp recovery. Right, the rupee hit a fresh all-time low against the US dollar. This on continued foreign fund sales and weak sentiment after the US visa fee hike. Lata Venkatesh is here with more. Lata, what's pushing the rupee lower?
It is a big one-day fall of about 0.55% at its lowest when the rupee went to 88.80 versus 88.31, which was the last close. Actually, it started off lower, a good at 88.41. And when it broke 88.45, that was kind of a support. We had touched that point on September 12th. So it was seen as a support level. Once it breached that, then everyone was in to scamper and buy dollars. Importers, corporates, everyone, people who were sitting short or stop losses triggered. You know, people were expecting some kind of a fall on Monday because of the H-1B visa news. But probably because of FTSE rebalancing, some flows came in. Finally, when the numbers came for Monday, it was a fairly big 2,900 crore of sell by the foreign funds. That also could have worsened the sentiment, which was anyways bad after the H-1B visa fee hike. The negative about that fee hike is that the expectation is that future remittances will be affected, but not the immediate flow, because, you know, it impacts only for the lottery, the H-1B lottery from next year. But nevertheless, that is a negative sentiment. Then we had the CEA himself telling us that the government and the Reserve Bank are not very upset by the rupee's fall because it actually compensates for exporters As well, for importers, steel stocks are up today. Why? Because, imported steel becomes expensive. It protects domestic industry as well. Finally, today was not only a rupee fall. Although the rupee is the worst performing currency this year, today the fall was also seen in the Indonesian rupiah and in the Filipino peso. And towards close of trade, as the dollar index fell a bit, some of these currencies, including the rupee, recovered a tad. The overall opinion is that all the bad news of the rupee is in the price, and probably either because of tariff news getting resolved or in the fourth quarter, actually some appreciation of the rupee is expected.
Right, thank you, Lata, for that update. Onto the commodities market, gold continued to rally today to touch an all-time high. The strong rally in the yellow metal is driven by the US Fed's rate cuts and safe haven buying. Similarly, prices of silver hit a record high. Continuing weekly gains for the 7th week. All right, on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. One of the world's most powerful bankers, JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, has said that the US economy is weakening, but it's not a disaster just yet. Speaking to Prashant Nair, he said that he expects investors to continue reducing their dollar holdings. He added that he is wary of inflation and the US has not attacked the fiscal deficit problem yet.
A lot of conflicting, data itself is not perfect. There's a lot of conflicting data. But right now, unemployment is still low. Consumers, both low end and higher end, are spending their money. At the low end, they're a little stretched, and credit losses are going up a little bit. So it's not a disaster; it's a weakening. I don't know if that's just a weakened economy or not. You have a lot of stimulus coming in the tax package, and you have a lot of I'm not going to call it stimulus, but spending on AI. So a lot of capex is up, but it's almost all AI, data center related. So, I hope it continues. And I'm a little more cautious on inflation than other people. That may not go away so quick because of the global deficits around the world. Those have an inflationary effect. The remilitarization of the world, the restructuring of trade, those things are all kind of inflationary. And maybe, less immigration in the United States, could help push up wages in the United States a little bit.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met US Secretary of State Marco Rubio in New York. The two met on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. This comes as Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is in the US for the next round of trade talks. Both meetings took place amidst tensions between the two nations after the imposition of 50% tariffs and the H-1B visa fee hike. Sanjay Suri has more on the meeting between Indian and US officials.
According to the State Department's account of the meeting, Rubio reiterated that India is a relationship of critical importance to the United States. The State Department, in its account, said that Rubio also expressed his appreciation for the Indian government's continued engagement on a number of issues, and a lot of these were listed out by the State Department: trade, defense, energy, pharmaceuticals, critical minerals, and other items. The US read of the meeting said both ministers agreed that the United States and India will continue working together to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific region, and including through the Quad. So clearly, the State Department saw the meeting as quite comprehensive, substantive, and positive. And Rubio spelled out particularly that the US is very much on board for the Quad going ahead. And this is entirely in line with Rubio's earlier statements, where he has emphasized time and again that India is one of the most important relationships for the US. Following that meeting, Jaishankar also similarly, though more blandly, posted on X that both sides had agreed on the importance of sustained engagement in priority areas. He said that the conversations covered a range of bilateral and international issues. The State Department was a little more specific on the meeting. The challenge clearly is whether such goodwill can spill over into resolving the many hurdles that have serially come to stand between India and the US. The 50% tariff, half of it as punishment for buying oil from Russia, the prohibitive fee now for the H-1B visa, the US revocation of its waiver on trading through Chabahar port. There's clearly a lot of friction and confrontation that this indicated new resolve has to take on and tackle. To that end, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is also here in the US for talks aiming at some sort of breakthrough over the tariffs issue past the current impasse.
A few days after the Trump administration imposed a $100,000 fee on new H-1B visa applications, the US tech body has urged the government to reconsider the move. Ashmit Kumar joins us now with the details. Ashmit, please take us through what the industry body said.
Well, an important development this. Bear in mind that the IT industry has already spoken out with respect to their concerns and challenges while facing this $100,000 fee. Now we understand it's the turn of the US-based ITI Council or the IT Industry Council based out of the US. Just for context, as far as the ITI Council is concerned, this trade body represents some of the largest tech players operating out of the US, including the Big Six. By Big Six, we mean the likes of Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Nvidia, the Big Six. They are also members of this. And importantly, these are some of the companies which are some of the biggest employers of H-1B workers. So the comments coming from them become substantially significant in light of the recent developments. What they're saying is, what the ITI Council statement essentially says is that they are important. It's important for the United States, if it wants to take a leadership role as far as innovation is concerned, in terms of developing technology is concerned. That is only possible if the best and the brightest are coming to the United States to innovate in the United States. That's one key message. They follow it up with saying that they're urging the US administration, the leadership in the United States, to work with the industry on ensuring that the best and the brightest are able to, in fact, move to the United States, to move there. And there's also a word of caution that AI leadership, the race is on. The only way the United States, that America is winning that race, if that innovation happens in America, and thereby essentially cautioning that if there are roadblocks that are mounted on the way for smooth migration of talent, of the best and the brightest, that could also come in the way that could hamper the AI aspirations that the US has in terms of taking a leadership role in the technology moving forward. So a word of caution coming in from ITI Council based out of the United States.
All right, thank you, Ashmit, for that. Shifting focus now, Jaguar and Land Rover, a subsidiary of Tata Motors, has extended its factory shutdown till the 1st of October. The shutdown began after a cyber incident on the 31st of August. Sudarshan Kumar has more on this. Sudarshan, please tell us more about this cyber attack and the impact on JLR.
So cyber attack and its impact on JLR. So pause, and the pause again. That's the story of JLR over last 3 weeks. So on August 31st, for the first time, it was announced that JLR's production was shut due to cyber attack. And after that, the next release came from the company on September 2, in which company has talked about this cyber attack and saying that it's working on to restart the operations. But after again, another update comes on September 10, in which company said that it was working with cybersecurity specialists to restart the operations, and for the first time it mentioned that some data was also impacted in this cyber incident. Next update came on September 16, in which company has extended the production pause till September 24, and that time also it said that it's working with a forensic team to restart the operations. Today, another update company has released. Now the pause is extended till October 1, and it's saying that it's looking to restart the operations in a phased manner. This is what company has said. But what about the news agencies? So BBC has reported that due to production pause, JLR is likely to be impacted by almost £5 million per day. And this cyber attack has come at the worst time, because after recently UK government had made some policy changes, and because of that, September was very important month. Telegraph has reported that even if company has extended the production pause till October, but it believes that production pause may be extended till November. Now, why all these things are very important for Tata Motors? Because JLR contributes almost 70% to its total consolidated revenue. So we'll have to see how much time more JLR takes to start its production.
Right. Thank you, Sudarshan, for that update. Moving on, shares of several automakers accelerated in trade in intraday session today. This on the back of strong demand spurred due to GST rate cuts. Maruti sold 30,000 vehicles on the first day of Navratri as GST cuts take effect. Meanwhile, Hyundai also recorded its highest daily billing in 5 years. Small car sales also saw a surge. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive, JSW Motor CEO Ranjan Nayak has said that the group's first car will be a plug-in hybrid SUV and will be launched in the second quarter of FY26. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, he added that the company will announce a $1 billion fundraise this week. He also added that JSW MG Motor will continue as a separate entity, but Chinese car maker SAIC could dilute its remaining 49% stake.
See, I mean, the Shanghai Auto and JSW both, they have got a very strong sense of Indian market. They have got a long-term vision of Indian market. In joint ventures, both the partners, in any joint venture, both the partners keep discussing about various forms of dilutions depending on the alignment of the goal or alignment of the aligning their immediate priorities. So we are we are in the discussing. So maybe dilution of Shanghai Auto will happen or another private equity partner will come. So it depends on the situation how it evolves.
All right, time for a short break. Coming up next, global semiconductor giant Nvidia pledges to invest up to $100 billion in ChatGPT maker OpenAI. More details when we return. Welcome back. Heavy rains and flooding crippled Kolkata, killing at least 7 people in the city. The heavy downpour brought life in the city and surrounding areas to a near standstill, affecting traffic, public transport and daily activities. The Met Department has predicted similar showers for Kolkata and neighbouring regions around the 25th of September, threatening to dampen Durga Puja festivities. Floods in North India and excessive rainfall in parts of peninsular India have damaged several crops. Farmers are staring at losses of over 5,000 crore rupees. However, state governments have claimed that farmers will be fairly compensated. Santyagura reports.
Floods in North India and West India affecting Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir displaced people, claimed lives and affected hundreds of villages. Farmers are facing massive damage as multiple crops have been destroyed.
The crops that are seeing a meaningful, tangible impact, they are focused in Rajasthan because some of the crops there are quite localized. Rajasthan has a very high share in these crops. So for example, green gram, there we're seeing impact is there. There is yield damage. Bajra, and Rajasthan has more than 40% share in the Bajra crop. There we're seeing some impact. Again, Jawar, where Rajasthan accounts for 1/3 of the production, there we're seeing impact. Other than that, moving from Rajasthan, if we look at Punjab and Haryana, there we see meaningful impact in case of paddy. Punjab contributes to about 12% of India's paddy production.
The scale of damage is evident from Punjab alone, where crops on 1.48 lakh hectares have been destroyed, and experts estimate farmers are staring at losses of over 5,000 crore rupees.
So Rajasthan, crops like Bajra, we're seeing losses to the extent of about 800 crore. Green gram, which is moong, losses to the tune of about 1,200 crores. In case of paddy in Punjab and Haryana put together, we're seeing losses of around 3,500 crores. And in Telangana for cotton, the loss could be to the tune of about 300 crores. So all in all, we're looking at about a 5,000 to 6,000 crore loss to farmers because of these floods.
Heavy rainfall also hit Maharashtra and Telangana. In Maharashtra, crops on about 18 lakh hectares are affected, with farmers demanding the state government declare a wet drought. state governments have begun their surveys, as in panchnamas, to assess losses and promise farmers proper compensation. But farmers remain doubtful, citing past instances of delayed, insufficient or no payout despite eligibility. In Mumbai with camera person Deepak, this is Santya for CNBC-TV18.
Some international updates now. France has formally recognized a Palestinian state at the United Nations, a move joined by several European countries. President Macron called for renewed efforts towards a two-state solution. The move was praised by the Palestinian Authority but rejected by Israel and the US. Israel warned that it might respond by annexing the West Bank. Meanwhile, Arab and Muslim leaders are set to meet President Trump in New York to discuss a plan for peace and post-war governance in Gaza. Russia and Ukraine continue to trade heavy drone strikes overnight. Ukraine says it shot down 132 drones, while Moscow claims over 100 Ukrainian drones were intercepted. The UK Foreign Secretary said Britain will confront Russian aircraft violating NATO airspace. Poland echoed that warning too. Meanwhile, President Zelensky is in New York for the UN General Assembly, rallying global support for peace talks. The ABC network has said that Jimmy Kimmel's show will return, ending a nearly week-long suspension over the late-night talk show. The network had suspended the show last week after conservatives criticized Kimmel's monologue comment about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And US chip maker Nvidia has announced a $100 billion investment into ChatGPT maker OpenAI overnight in a bid to deploy AI data centers to train and run OpenAI's next-gen infra. As part of the circular arrangement, OpenAI will use the investment to help pay for new chips produced by Nvidia. Here's a report.
Nvidia plans to invest $100 billion into ChatGPT maker OpenAI and supply it with data center chips. The companies announced the move Monday, marking a tie-up between two leaders in artificial intelligence. A source close to OpenAI says the deal will involve two separate but intertwined transactions. Nvidia will invest in OpenAI for non-controlling shares, and the startup can then use the cash to buy chips from Nvidia. The chipmaker will invest an initial $10 billion and then start delivering hardware as soon as late 2026. On Monday, the two companies signed a letter of intent to deploy at least 10 gigawatts of Nvidia systems for OpenAI. They aim to finalize partnership details in the coming weeks. Nvidia shares closed around 4% higher after the announcement. OpenAI has been working to build its own AI chips as a cheaper alternative to Nvidia, but a person familiar with the matter said its deal with Nvidia doesn't change those plans or its partnership with Microsoft, which has invested billions in OpenAI since 2019. Nvidia's investment comes days after it committed $5 billion to struggling chipmaker Intel. Analysts say the scale of the new OpenAI deal means it could attract the attention of regulators, though the Trump administration has so far taken a relatively hands-off approach to competition concerns.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. News and updates continue right here on CNBC-TV18.